I want to point out a few things. First off, I'm going to start with a little closer to us in history. I know ancient Greece isn't that close, but closer to us, and then move further back into history. All right. First off, the Spartans are black. I'll post a few pictures on the screen right here of their art. If those aren't black people, then I mean, who were the black people at that time in the art? If those aren't, because those are definitely all right. Anyway. And listen to this. This is exactly Athenia talking to Sparta. Sparta is just like America and the black community having to be involved. All right. A man argued that Sparta should set up a democracy, and the Caucus, a Spartan, replied, "Start with your own family." I've been watching Saw Netter, and this sounds like exactly what the whole point is. When an old man went to the Olympic Games and couldn't find a seat, everyone complained until he got to the Spartan section, where many boys and men stood to give him a seat. The crowd applauded at the gesture, and the old man cried and said, "It seems all of Greece knows what is the right thing to do, but it is only the Spartans that do anything about it." That's how I feel watching Saw Netter. Like, why aren't there any white people doing this? If anybody that watches Saw Netter is watching this, white people feel the same way right now. Like, I'm not saying all white people, but there's a lot of white people feel the same way that y'all do, and that feel like we need to be having these debates and stuff. A person asked how to maintain favorable circumstances in life, and a Spartan replied, "By not trusting anything to fortune." Sounds like don't trust the white man. Like, it's the same thing. These the same communities. Like, all right, when King Aegus saw a small boy pull a mouse out of its hole, it turned around and bit him and ran back in its hole, and the king, Aegalus, said, "When the tiniest creature defends itself against a giant aggressor, what ought we to do?" He's teaching life lessons and stuff through that, and that's the same like experience through life instead of sending your kid to school. It's the same kind of things. When King Aegus was given a lengthy speech from a messenger, and the messenger asked what he should report, King Aegus replied, "Say that throughout the entire time you needed to speak, I continued to listen in silence." Right, the Spartan women. When a Spartan woman asked why only Spartan women could rule the men, she said, "Because we are also the only ones who can give birth to them." That sounds like the exact same points they're trying to get across on Saw Netter too. Because they had a king and stuff, but only the women could rule them, even though they were a patriarchy. Alright, and then now I'm going to get back into, go further back. And also, first, alright, Spartans were black, Socrates was black. And he also was accepted in the Egyptian culture. They let him in, and he was the first one to bring Egyptian, not the first one, but the first one to deeply study them with them and then come back and give it to the Greeks. I'm pretty sure, and they killed him for corrupting the youth. I'm pretty sure they killed him for being a black man corrupting white youth. It was racism, that's what it was. It wasn't just killing somebody for being a philosopher. St. Nicholas was black. Santa Claus, they've done some forensic studies recently, and Santa Claus is black. Egyptians were black. The place itself was called Kemet, meaning land of the black. And like the Sioux Indians, when you call yourself something, you're not talking about the ground. People say it's about the ground because it was black dirt. No, it was the people. They were land of the black. It was many tribes that came from different places, and they came together and united because of the Nile River. They existed together because of the Nile River Valley and its fertility. And they didn't have to kill each other in order to survive. So they called themselves the land of the black because that is the one thing they had in common. The Nabta alignments. This also proves that Egypt came out of came from the south, not from the north, because the Nabta alignments are the practice stage for the pyramid society. Alright, the Moabites. Moab means of my own father. And in the Bible, there's a family where there's a child made where the daughter and the father end up having a baby together, and that's where the family bloodline comes from, the Moabites. Alright? And I think that this story, when looking at it from just reading it from what face value, it sounds like a story of incest. But if you read it as a story of like mythos, you're supposed to interpret it like the Bible, like it's supposed to be. It's the story of the people that learned how to crossbreed. It's a story of people with genetic technology. It's just because all right. And then if you look at marsupial, Mar and Moab, these things are related. And then the Samoans, is Samoa in English or in ancient Egyptian is protector of the blood of Moab. So basically, the Samoans are the protectors of the bloodlines of Moab. All right, and then. The marsupials, they are all of this. All of this is related. It may seem like incest, but it's called crossbreeding. Like when you breed a marijuana plant, what you have to do is you have to take. Okay, first, everybody thinks that when you grow, it's you're trying not to get seeds. That's not the goal. That's if you want to grow once, that's the goal. Just no seeds, all right. But if you want to continue to grow and make your own strain, what you do is you get a male and a female, and you make them breed, all right. Then you take their babies and make them breed together. So brothers and sisters are breeding together, or the seeds with the parent father. You take the pollen from the father, and then so what you're doing there is you're making them retarded, but in a way that you can control. So you're controlling the mutations that happen from the retarded genes. The genes mess up, and then you can control whatever attribute you like in the plant, because that's how growing weed works. Whatever attribute you like in the plant, you continue that to retard itself. You continue letting them breed with their brothers and sisters so that that can come out more. And then that's what they were doing. And I think that's how marsupials happen. That's why kangaroos have pouches. That's why koalas. That's why they're so diverse. And that's why Africa has such a diverse community of animals. And also. Punt, the ancient land of Punt. Look it up. The Egyptians called it the land of God. All right. Why the fuck would you call a place the land of God unless that's where God lives? All right. And why don't we, as a people studying Egyptians, look at all they're talking about God as talking about these people living in the land of God? I think all of the Egyptian gods are just the ancient history of the Punts. That's just the Punts gave them all this technology. The Punts were the Somalians. They lived there and they were trading with the people of the. I believe that this isn't this part. I don't have any evidence for. I believe they were trading with the people of the Combat Gulf, and then I do have evidence that they were trading with the people of Australia. All right, and also there's evidence, and I'll show you the thing on the wall. The Queen of Punt. She is resemblant to the Venus of Willendorf. All right, so it looks like the people of Willendorf and the Grimaldi Man and stuff. They had their society set up in Europe. All right, and then they moved down with the boomerang and everything to Australia and India in that area. All right, and then from that area, then they moved to Egypt, all right? And because Punt was a big trading center in Egypt. We think of it as the first, and they were building things. No, I think they were getting things from Punt. They were getting information from Punt, because there's they say that the Egyptians went to Punt in 1500 BC, but there's evidence of their gold. Or no, they say they went there 2500 BC, but there's evidence of their gold way before that. And like Punt gold being in Egypt. I think Egypt was almost like a little colony of Punt, but not necessarily. Maybe they like two different tribes that had very good relations. And then Punt was way bigger than Egypt. It just didn't have the kind of writing that Egypt did. Because if you think about it like this, all right, the Egyptians, they wrote about their gods. There's a god named Thoth that invented writing. I think the Punts invented writing, but they didn't do it like the Egyptians did. They didn't care about it so much. They didn't revere it and have schools for it and teach entire groups of people. They just knew about it. They just invented it. They were the gods. The gods in the Egyptian writings are the Punts. They just do these things and invent these things. The Egyptians are like, oh my God, you just do this? And then they go back and teach everyone and show everyone how to do it. And I think that's how these cultures connected. And Punt is very, very understudied. And then also the NAPTA alignment, again, that's the practice stage for Egypt. I think that they were able to get across the ocean because they were more advanced than Egypt. They were able to get across the ocean to the Americas. They were on the Samoa Islands and stuff, and Asia and stuff. Not Asia. Australia was the Aboriginal island. And then on the other side, the side of America, the protectors, all right? So the protectors, I think the Indians are the actual bloodline of Moab. The Indian Americans, the Native Americans are the bloodlines of Moab. And the evidence of this is in the Mazatec culture, all right? If you look into the Mazatec culture, they invented a plant, all right? This plant did not exist in nature. They took it's called the Salvia divinorum, all right? And they took a mint plant and a sage plant, bred them together until they made something that could affect the human consciousness, all right? These Indians did this thousands of years ago, and we have no idea how. And this is a plant that doesn't make very many seeds. You have to cut it and clone it and make... They had advanced technology of plant propagation, not just farming like we think. They had advanced horticulture as if today. They had the horticultural advanced ability of today. They invented a plant species. They didn't just accidentally put it together, pick their favorite kinds. They made a plant. They tried again and again and again until it happened. All right, so I think the Native Americans are the direct bloodline of Moab, and I think that if you look into the Roanoke stories, I think that we've actually lied about what a Native American is, and that they were blacker than we think as nowadays. They were blacker than we think, and the pictures we took were just way later, and were mixed babies that were like hundreds of years into the mixing with Indians. So we don't know what they actually, I think it's hidden from us what they actually look like. I'm going to try to find stuff and look into this. Also, I'm going to look into the land of Punt, get books and stuff, because I'm not just going to look on Wikipedia and Google and stuff. I already have books about Egypt and everything. All this is stuff that I've gotten and then got pictures off the internet to help put it together. And This stuff, I can't believe that it's just because scholars don't debate about it, it's considered to be impossible. But I'm not saying all these things are 100% true. I'm just declaring that. Look at it. Look how these marsupials are here, and there's scientists have no idea how marsupials got to and then off of. No, first off, they started on Australia, got off of Australia, and then came back. They don't know how the fuck that happened, and this explains that shit. This is how that happened. Like, there's so many things that they don't know how. And the sea people, look up ancient sea people. They don't know who those people are. They don't. The Egyptians had very little information about them. And then these people came and they took over Mesopotamia. They took over all these different cities, and then left them. They didn't kill them. They just left them there to keep going. They went further south, and they have no idea how. I think that these people were just traders. And there's no evidence of battles. They just assume the sea people took them over because that's what it looks like. And I think that they were just culturally taken over. And the sea people are it was like if you look at the East India Trade Company, which is what the American flag is based off of. That's why I turned it upside down, because it's not. We are not the people. We are this trade company at this moment. But anyway, the East India Trade Company, that is kind of like what Atlantis was, I think. I think the idea of Atlantis was a sea nation that traded between the other nations. It was a people that went, and that's why the Moors are connected to the sea. That's why marine means the ocean. Like, it's all these things. All right, I'm going to get further into it once I get more books and stuff, and I've got other things about the Moabites and what their genetic things and stuff. Because I'm pretty sure they did some experiments with humans too, and I think like not necessarily experiments, but just social because you engineer a society a certain way, different things happen that weren't expected, and those could be called experiments. And I think that when they went to different places and stuff, it just ended differently than they thought. The cultures didn't stay all one united color, because different people went different places, and then it split, and then a big wave of white came in. I'll get into it in other videos. From the Caucus Mountains is where it came from. But anyway, all these people were black. The Spartans, Socrates, Santa Claus, and then the land of Punt connected to Egypt. It was older than Egypt. It was called Land of the Gods. Marsupials and shit. Everybody should look into this stuff. They're all weird things that don't really make sense, but you put them together and it has a picture. There's a picture there. I'm talking to you about it. Alright, peace.